So this topic was inspired by my build ladies and my private clients, because it is probably the #1 thing that everyone working with me goes through, because by the time you've made it to me, you have at least gotten to the point where you have recognized that fitness, training, building muscle, getting stronger is important. Maybe you neglected it for a while in your journey, on your low carb journey, or sometimes I get some people who come to me and want to try low carb, but usually it happens the other way around. They've been doing low carb for a while, and now they're on their fitness journey, and they find me and they land in the group. And so they are already at some degree bought into training and building muscle and getting stronger. But a lot of the time, it is still driven by a goal to lose body fat. That is the main focus usually. And hopefully, by the time you've reached me, you know that you're focusing on, or you are seeking to achieve, body fat loss, not weight loss at any cost, not cutting off a limb just so that the scale will be down, not losing muscle just so that you can have a lower gravitational pull to the earth on the scale. Hopefully that part has sunk in. But just because you understand intellectually the importance of it, sometimes going through the process on a day-to-day basis is still a mental battle. And that is why we are here tonight, to talk about that mental battle. How can I embrace eating more food, lifting heavier, taking rest days, allowing my body to recover the way that it needs to, fueling my body so that I can perform well in my training, fueling my body after training to nourish myself properly so that I can build muscle and, yes, lose body fat, but also battle the thoughts in my head that are telling me, but you're supposed to eat 1,200 calories a day, but you're supposed to do X amount of cardio. And if you're not burning X number of calories a day, then you're not going to lose body fat. But if the scale's not going down, then I'm not losing body fat. How do I reconcile everything I've learned and everything that's been put in my brain all these years about what progress looks like, and now flip it on its head and just believe this woman who is telling me, just trust the process and it will happen, right? And once you understand a little something about the slow process of muscle gain and body recomposition, well, how can I truly believe that if I put in all of this time, that it's really going to happen for me? Even if I believe it's possible, I then have to believe it's possible for me. And this is where a lot of the self-sabotaging thoughts come up. Well, they could do it because of XYZ. She was younger. She was this. She was that. She didn't have kids. She didn't have to bounce back after having babies. This, that, and the other. Well, this is why somebody else can do it and I can't. That is happening a lot up here. So we're going to talk about the mental stuff. And I'm also going to talk about some practical stuff, because let's be real. We've got to deal with both the mental and emotional stuff and the physical real world realities that we're dealing with on a day-to-day basis. So practically and mentally, how do we handle this? Okay, let's dive in. First and foremost, any mindset shift, no matter what the topic, the process of shifting and changing the way you think about things requires changing the way you believe about things, and that is the same process, regardless of what topic we're talking about. So, great example. Most of us at one point in time were not low carb. We were listening to all of the traditional advice out there about our diets. Red meat is going to kill you. Canola oil is healthy. You should be eating less meat. You should be watching your fat, because fat makes you fat. Now, if you're here, you know that fat is part of what makes you fat if you overconsume it. But I digress. All of the traditional wisdom of what was going to kill us and what would help us be thin and healthy, eating 11 servings of whole grains a day and limiting our fats to the top of the food pyramid, and all of that conventional wisdom, we have had to learn along our low carb journey to ignore all of the conventional advice, basically take everything and say what they told us, just do the opposite and you'll be healthy. And that took a mindset shift, because if we continued to believe everything we've been taught, we wouldn't be where we are here doing this lifestyle. And for some of us at the beginning, there was a lot of that in our head. Hello carnivores. But I've been told to eat my veggies all day, every day, my whole life. What do you mean it's healthy to not eat veggies? What? Vegetables are trying to kill me? So we've been there, at least in one regard, but I'm sure you've been there in many, because we've lived a life up to this point. We've all been on this earth for a while. There are things we had to unlearn and relearn. And that is the same process with body recomp. When we have been focused our entire life on losing weight, it's all about weight loss. And any and all of the conventional wisdom we were told, eat less, move more. They sure didn't tell you what to eat less of and what kind of movement you should be doing. It was just eat less, move more. And for women, unfortunately, a lot of the time that meant less protein. I don't know about you, but growing up and even as an adult, and even now, I still have friends who are, as soon as they want to lose weight, they cut out meat. If I could shake them. So all that conventional wisdom, we have to flip it on its head, just like everything else, just like any other mindset shift. So the first tip is to educate yourself on the thing that you are trying to accomplish. Arm yourself with all of the knowledge and all of the wisdom and all of the evidence that you can get that you are doing the right thing for yourself. And I'm going to call this focusing on your why, because as we talk about focusing on your why, this is more of a focusing on the why. Why am I doing this? Because in those moments that your mind is trying to convince you to stay comfortable, because that's what happens when we try to do anything new and different. Abort mission. How many times in my 8-year bodybuilding journey did I not want to go through the building phase? Oh, quickly wanted to get back to the cut so I could just get the weight off and get lean and stay lean. In bodybuilding, you don't improve if you stay lean all year. There's no improvement there. You cannot improve your body from a state of depletion. But when we're new to the sport, we don't know better. And we have all these thoughts in our head telling us we're afraid of gaining. And so we don't want to do all the things that we need to do to actually improve our bodies. So what do we have to do? Well, we have to get a good coach. It's going to talk us off the ledge every time and tell us, nope, this is why we're following the plan. This is why we have a plan. So this is some of the practical tips on the ability to focus on why you're doing this and the importance of doing this. So educating yourself on all of the reasons why chasing muscle gain and body fat. So we're talking about recomp. Whenever I say recomp, I just mean building muscle and burning or losing body fat. And really, I could just say building, because building muscle is fat loss. It literally will equal fat loss over time. Because the more muscle you put on your body, the more metabolically active tissue you have on your body. It's burning more calories at rest, and it is supporting all of the processes of your body to function well. And when you are functioning well, your body will naturally lose body fat and keep it off. So first and foremost, I would make a list of all of the practical and tangible benefits of committing to this lifestyle and staying the course. Something you could see every single day. Write your list. I'm going to give you some to put on that list right now. Because the more evidence you can give yourself of this works and what I can look forward to at the end of that tunnel. This is why I say it's the why of what you're doing, right? When you can say, okay, here's the benefits I will get to enjoy on the other end of the tunnel if I just keep staying the course. All right, first and foremost, I just mentioned, it's easier to lose body fat and keep it off when you have more muscle in your body. And here's the really fun part. For all my ladies who have said, am I going to have to eat 1,400 calories forever for the rest of my life or else I'm going to gain weight? I can't ever lose weight until I get below X number of calories. So how in the world, what am I going to do? I just have to restrict myself for the rest of my life. Not if you build muscle. Building muscle provides you the ability to eat more and to be less restrictive in the foods that you're able to eat in the long run. For all my ladies who currently say, if I look at a carb, I gain 10 pounds. I'm finally on the other side of this, y'all. And I can't even tell you how amazing it is. If I could just telepathically, I didn't believe it. I was right where you are. I was petrified of eating carbs. I thought I would never be able to live a balanced life. I would never be able to fit certain things into my diet. That was just my lot in life. And it was feeding an eating disorder. Those thoughts were feeding an eating disorder. And I'm telling you, on the other side, it is glorious. I don't stuff my face with donuts and pizza every day because I'm committed to changing the habits that create a healthy life. And that is not a part of it. But I don't have to be nearly as restrictive as I once was. And that's on the other side of this. All right, let's talk about how your health and fitness levels improve as you age with building muscle, not decline. So all of these age-related declines that we hear about, it's not age-related. It's muscle loss related. It's sarcopenia related. And how do you lose muscle? By not using it. If you're not telling your body to build it and maintain it through sending a muscle building signal, strength training, your body pares it down. It's unuseful, inefficient. Let's get rid of the muscle. So instead of, and you can look around at all of us, 40 plus, 40s, 50s, 60s in my group. We can look around at women our age and we can compare. Many of us have already aged healthier than our peers. And if we haven't yet, we will if we do this. If not, we can look at the same future that they have. We can look around and say, do I want to be where they are, degenerating, weak and frail as I get older, dependent on other people as I get older? Or do I want to be strong and independent and capable? This is where it could get deeper. We can get deeper into the overarching, your personal why. You can start to connect it to some of these tangible benefits. One of my clients, the main reason she came to me, her big why was so that her children and grandchildren didn't have to take care of her, so that she doesn't become a burden on her family. Because most of us are at the age where we've seen or we're seeing our aging parents and or grandparents, and we don't want to end up where they are. That's a thing that's a lot harder to connect to in your 20s and 30s, because you're probably not seeing it in your life yet, unless you have parents with chronic illness. But as we get older, we start to see it because we have to take care of them. And usually that's one of the big things that hits my ladies when they start to come to me. They're like, oh my gosh, I don't want to do that to my family. And that's a big one. Another really big one that a lot of the time is connected to a deeper why is the pride and confidence you feel in yourself. When you do hard things and you do them well and you overcome something difficult. And literally not even the results, that we're always so focused on the results and the outcomes, but with training, with strength training, it's not even, you don't have to wait for the results and the outcomes for that pride. One workout, you kick ass in one workout and you walk away feeling like a beast, feeling like a boss, feeling like nobody can tell me anything. Look what I just did. Even if you don't feel like doing the workout that day, you go in there and you do something and you come out of there feeling like you just won the day. There's not much better than that feeling. I know a lot of y'all are feeling that these days with your training. How about the next one? I see this with a lot of you ladies who've now been on this journey for a little while. You are the inspiration and the motivation to your family, your friends, your immediate circle. Some of you are sharing your journey on social media. So you have a wider community that's now inspired by you and wanting to do what you do. That's what consistency creates. Especially y'all with kids and those with the preteen kids. You want, especially daughters, oh my goodness, you want to show them what girls can be capable of. I still wish to this day that weight training was a thing for girls when I was in high school the way it is now. It is so incredible to me. It's one of the things that just makes me beam with joy when I see that there are high schools that have programs for girls to be a part of now with weight training. I wish. Even in female sports, we didn't have that. It's incredible. How about
even in college, we didn't have the weight training that we needed. I mean, we just didn't have it. And that was, let's see, I was in college in 85, 86. And we didn't have the weight training we needed for that. Of course, you had to wait for the men's basketball team to get done, you know.
In middle school, I made them let girls on the boys soccer team. This girl did that because it was all boys, and it was no longer all boys after this girl got a hold of them. So, you know, we've come a long way, baby.
Each one teach one, baby.
I'm just going to say thank God for the military, because that was kind of where mine started. My father was in the military. I got into the military and I started lifting weights 20, how many years ago now? It's almost 25 years. I started when I was 18. I had a guy in my unit that was actually really, really into lifting. And he was like, there's this new book that's come out that's kind of like got everything laid out. And it was Bill Phillips' Body for Life. And that program is still a great program as far as like the working out part goes. It's something that I had always fallen back to anytime I've ever wanted to fall into structure again. And that's, I mean, the transformation I saw from that years ago, but it's that whole up and down of life, you know, of like committing to it and making sure you stay, you know. So look at Aaron. Aaron's like, oh my God, I remember that. Yeah, it was a great program. But and he lives like a couple hours from where I live now, which is really strange. And he almost died from COVID. If y'all don't know, it's a whole long story. Yeah, he almost did. He like was a skeleton and has come back to life after that. Yes.
Wow.
Anyway, yeah, I wish that they had that kind of stuff when I was young, but I was always encouraged to be strong. There's 3 girls in my family, and my dad said, "You're the best son I never had." So, you know, lift heavy things, live a long time.
Yes, I love it. I love it. And that's the thing. You can be that example, right? For me, my mom was doing aerobics, right? She wasn't lifting heavy. She was lifting little weights. And that's what we were always taught. Little weights, classes, cardio with weights, essentially. Or even not with weights, unfortunately. But okay, how about the better outcomes in other areas of your life? This is something, and for you ladies in the build, it's coming for you. Something all my clients do, all my ladies in the shred, I give it to them, give it to the ladies in the build, and it is my big why and big why not. Getting clear on what it is, looking at your 1 year out vision for where you want to be, and looking at 1 year from now, if you don't take action and you go in the direction you don't want to go, and looking at those 2 different directions, and then you chunk out, there's questions that help you journal through this, each area of your life and how each area of your life will be impacted if you do the thing versus if you don't do the thing. This is what I always encourage everyone to pull out when they're losing motivation, because motivation is not always going to be there. So this is where you identify, okay, how is this going to impact my career? How is this going to impact my relationships, my finances, all of these different things, my health? And you get clear on it and you write it down, like Juliana, detailed, because you've got to make it tangible to yourself. Some of you are budding coaches. I was not doing this. How many years ago did I leave? Officially, I left in 2020. So really 3 years, but before that, I left in 2019 and I ended up going back. But so 3 to 4 years ago, not that long ago, I had a whole different career that I was burned out in. This has given me a life that I, at one point, never even dreamed of. Didn't even know was a thing. So you never know what your life could look like taking a chance on something. It could change literally everything. I met Bronson in the keto space. It was low carbon fitness that brought us together. So literally everything in my life has changed. Had I not pursued the long game of muscle gain, lifting and low carb, my whole life wouldn't look like this. I was pretty damn miserable before I left that old career. So connect to your why and connect the benefits of the long game, muscle building. Connect it to the why. Find those connections. So when you're struggling and when you're not so sure about it, that's what you have to arm yourself against your brain. Now, I put all this in one, but technically it could be 2 things, because the other thing, I mentioned getting all the evidence that you can, that it can work and that it is possible and that there is light at the end of the tunnel, and that you can trust the process. How do you do this? You find people, you find stories of success. You find other people who have done what you're trying to do, and you listen to their story, and you fill your mind with all of that. Being here is a good part of that, because truly, I'm still, my mind is blown at how easy it is to maintain this physique that I spent so long building. It's effortless. It is effortless to maintain. and all the hang-ups I had around food and all of this, it's gone. And I'm still astonished by it and grateful, and I thank God for it every day, because I don't want to take it for granted because it was something I didn't believe I could have until I started believing I could have it and teaching myself to believe that I could have it. And so you get the evidence from others until you can get the evidence for yourself. One big thing that I did years back, after my second bikini competition, I had a really difficult experience with that show, and I was not in a good mindset. I couldn't even look at the pictures. I thought I looked horrible. I look back and I'm like, I don't know what I was seeing, but I was looking at women who didn't look like me. I was looking at women who had very different body types, and I was comparing myself to them, and I was trying to force myself into a look that was not realistic for me. And at that point in time, I shocked everybody I was following on social media. I cut out every skinny bikini girl that I was following that had legs this big, because my legs were about this big my whole life. At 11 years old, I had legs that were a lot bigger than the next chick. Unless I starved myself and forced myself to lose a lot of muscle along with the fat, I wasn't going to look like that. And even then, I probably wouldn't look like that. So I stopped looking at all of them. So I encourage you to audit what you are watching, audit what you are looking at, audit who you are following on social media. Pay attention, because that stuff is sinking in. Are you comparing yourself to an unrealistic expectation? Or are you watching and thinking, okay, who can I follow that actually I feel like I could look like that? And I really started thinking about it. Like, I looked for Italian women, short, brunette, with curves, that had body types that were more like mine. I changed everything that I looked at so that when I was looking at them and looking at their muscles, I started getting really excited about building muscle. And about this, I could see myself in that physique that I started looking at. No different. I was still looking at competitors. I looked at a different type of competitor and a new type of competitor, a body I could actually see myself in, something that seemed real to me. And then it started shifting. I wasn't so afraid of putting on the muscle. So for my ladies who are afraid of bulking, look for, yep, I'm looking right at you, Tori. And we talked about this. Look for the women that you admire with muscle. For Tori, it's the ballerinas. So look at those women who are fit and they have curves in all the right places and they've got muscle. And that, just looking at that physique and reminding yourself that building muscle does not mean I'm going to look like Arnold Schwarzenegger with a female face. Building muscle doesn't mean I'm going to look like some muscle-bound dude. Building muscle means I can look like this physique. And for all of us, that's going to be a different woman. We don't all have the same ideal, and we don't all have the same body type. So really start looking at who you're watching. Oh yeah, Mary, great question. Erin Stern, yes, Whitney got it. Erin Stern, she's incredible. I love her stuff. She's one that I really like.
How tall is she?
I don't remember, but I bet you could Google it because she has a huge name in the fitness space. So they probably.
Yeah, she really does. She's been around forever, and I've been following Erin a long time. But I really think she's like 5'8". I think she's pretty tall.
I think she's tall. Yeah,
I think so. Yeah. But Mary, you're tall, aren't you? Tall?
I think I've picked her for my what I would be like.
5'9".
I'm
She's
5'7".
Okay.
5'7" on a good day.
Okay.
So.
Well, she's 5'9".
That's a good,
Yeah.
that's a good ideal to look at, Mary. I like
But
that.
she's got a good X, and I think I have an X somewhere in that range. So that's what I was looking at. Maybe not quite so big on the guns, but that's my goal.
You're gonna love it. I love it. Yeah, that's a great one. Yeah, get out there and see what's out there. And you know, like I said, listen to the stories. I've got a bunch of client success stories. I don't know if I made them all, I may have made them quietly public, like I didn't do a big push. But I've been doing interviews with clients after they graduate with me, and I've got a bunch of those interviews. So I'm going to be pushing out more of those. So there's some things you can look at. Women of all ages who have accomplished some really incredible things throughout our time together. So those will be coming out. Look for people. You can look at others in the low carb space who've accomplished things as well. Women who are building muscle. Get into those spaces. I talk about her. I've talked about her, I think, on other masterclasses. But Dr. Gabrielle Lyon, Lyon. She is one of our poster children who just loves to shout from the rooftop about protein and muscle building and the importance for longevity. She's a geriatric doctor, and she is incredible. Ooh, new book. What's the name of her? Oh yeah, I just saw her talking about her new book. I don't remember what it's called though. Do you remember?
I've been watching a lot of bodybuilders. Y'all gonna have to help me find somebody that I can relate to, because I don't see any.
Oh, I got you, Rhonda.
5'4.5", 5'4.5", 5'5". I want an older woman.
Yeah.
I want an African American. I want to see a Black woman, an older Black woman, in all honesty.
I got you,
I watch a
Rhonda.
lot of them. I'm not racist or nothing, but that's what I want to see one.
Why
Because
wouldn't
the
you?
ones I see are like 70 and 80 something years old. You know, they got them. But I want somebody. Y'all find one. Just hit me up and send me a
I got you, Rhonda. I'm
message.
gonna send you. I'll send
Okay.
you. In fact,
Okay.
there's a woman who I bought my very first plan from when I did my first show. Her last name is difficult to spell. It's Dainert is actually the way that you pronounce it, but it doesn't look like that. So I'll have to pull the spelling and I'll send it to you. But it's Kimberly Dainert.
Thank you.
Kimberly Dainert. She's a figure.
I've seen her, yes, and she is awesome.
She's incredible. She's doing this a long time. I bought her guide, and that was literally how I prepped for my first 2 shows. I didn't have a coach. I became an affiliate for her for a little while, and then she turned it into a course. She's doing all kinds of other things now, and she still trains people and
Donert.
to get on stage. Yeah, it looks like Donert. It looks like
Donert.
Yeah.
Doehnert.
Yes, but it's pronounced Dainert.
Dainert. Okay. Wow.
She's pretty awesome. But I've got some others too I'll find for you. I'll send you some people I think would be good for you to look at.
Okay.
Thank
you.
Yes, I got another close girlfriend. She's, I think she's a little older than me, so she's probably in her mid-40s. But she's the one that she started competing before I did. And she started in bikini. And she didn't do well in bikini, but then she went figure and she crushed it, and she's incredible. She's just a personal friend of mine, but she's not a pro yet. I don't know if she's still going for it. She might be. And another girlfriend of mine who was in pole dancing with me, pole dance fitness, before either of us ever started bodybuilding, and now she's into figure. And so I'll send you both of them.
I see you.
Hey, you want to put on upper body and core strength real fast? Learn to climb a pole. I'll tell you what, it changed the game for me. That's really what changed my life before I ever started lifting weights. So
I have a girl.
Sorry, I just muted you. All right, let's move on to number 2 here. So that was all under the why are you doing it, find the tangible benefits, and find the evidence. just like all of us, we got into the community in the keto low carb space. We sought out people who were doing it. We sought out success stories. We had to teach our minds all the time that people are doing this and people are having success. Stop second guessing it, trust it, and keep going with it. Same process. Oh, thank you, Michaela. She put in Forever Strong, Dr. Lyon's new book. Okay, so number 2 is ask yourself, what's the alternative? There is a question I ask whenever I do a discovery call with a potential new client. First, I ask them a bunch of questions about their background and where they're at and what they're trying to achieve and why it's important to them and all of that. But the last question I always ask before we get off the call is, if you don't sign up with me today, what are you going to do next? And most of the time, probably all of the time, when somebody does decide to sign up with me, the answer is, I don't know. I don't know what else I'm going to do. I've tried everything. I guess I will just go back and keep trying the things I've done before. And usually by the time they get on a discovery call with me, it's because they're sick and tired of beating their heads against the wall and not getting where they want to be. So ask yourself, if I don't do this, what is the alternative? Continuing to do what you've always done will continue to produce the results you've always gotten. Most of the time, what people will think is, well, I'll just go back to doing cardio and cutting my calories because it worked before, in air quotes. It worked for a short-term period of time. Short-term diets produce short-term results. And then the question is, how's that working for you now? If it worked before, if you have to use the term worked, past tense, and it tells me it's no longer working for you. Because if it was, we wouldn't be having the conversation. So why not take the risk on doing something different to get a different result? What's the worst that could happen? You end up exactly where you are right now. I say it's worth the risk. Anything worth doing is worth the risk. Anything worth getting in the long run is worth the risk. So, getting into the tips. First, you have to prepare to go to battle with your mind. Just like when we've talked about the diet side of things. We've talked about, okay, get ready, because another thing I like to tell clients is, don't think it's going to be easy. And everybody's like, well, I don't think it's going to be easy. Well, when you're motivated, you're like, I'm signing up, I'm getting a coach, or I'm joining a program. And it kind of feels like, if I put this money down and I sign up for something, that the results are just magically going to appear now. I made the commitment. I decided to do it. Now I'm going to get results. Well, no, now you got to put the work in. You signed up to hold yourself accountable. Nobody's giving you anything. Then what happens? You show up and you start to do the work and you start to realize, oh shit, this is hard. Wait, now the work is starting. Well, oh, okay, well now I've got challenges. Now I've got obstacles in my way. Yeah, welcome to the fight. So no different with Recomp, with this slow process of muscle building. Your mind is going to try to talk you into doing what you've always done. It's going to try to talk you out of doing the thing you committed to. So all of the arguments are going to start coming up from your lizard brain, that survival brain that wants you to be comfortable, familiar, safe. Not this risky new thing. So prepare. I like to say, prepare your rebuttals like a lawyer. Prepare to go to court. Prepare to face your mind in court. Write down every argument your mind is going to give you as to why you can't keep doing this. Oh, look, you didn't drop 5 pounds in a week, so you should quit. Oh, look, your measurements didn't move, so you should quit. Your measurements went up. That's the wrong direction. You should quit. You don't know. I don't know if you are making any progress because I can't see it in the measurements. I can't see it on the scale because it's recomp. Well, this isn't working. And we're going to get into that because that's the biggest piece right there. When we're focusing on recomp, the results, the outcomes are not as drastic as they are with weight loss, excuse me. When you were on your weight loss journey, all you wanted to do was see the scale go down. That was your measure of success, which was also flawed, but you know. Maybe you had to learn that the scale doesn't always go down. Sometimes it bobbles and sometimes it plateaus. And that's just a part of the process. There's a bobble, there's a drop, there's a plateau, there's a bobble, there's a drop, there's a plateau, and it keeps going that way. But now, if we're recomping, or going into a build, if we're going into a bulk, I don't like that word. Y'all know I don't like that word. But building and recomp, well, that's different because the scale may not move at all. The measurements may not move at all. They may go up and down, daily, weekly, up and down, up and down, up and down, not ever do the drop. Because we're adding weight on the scale when we're building muscle. We're losing weight on the scale when we lose fat. When those two things are happening simultaneously, we don't get these big drastic changes. They're teeny tiny, minute changes. And we don't see them day to day, and we probably won't see them week to week. But if we stay consistent month after month, we start to see them big time in our pictures, in the way our clothes fit, in how strong we are and capable we are. But boy, that takes a lot more patience than purely focusing on weight loss. Because it takes not only a lot more patience, but a lot more trust. How do I know I'm making progress if I'm not seeing it in the numbers? This is what the ladies in the build are battling right now. Oh my gosh, you just taught me that the numbers aren't really going to move. Well, how do I reconcile that? So here's some practical tips for the day-to-day during this journey of Recomp. And I will say, I've said this before on Recomp Masterclass, I think. For those of you who still have a lot of body fat to lose, you're on a Recomp journey, but if you are doing it right, the scale will still go down over time because fat loss does happen faster than muscle gain. Muscle gain is a much slower process. So even if you're gaining muscle while you're losing body fat, your body fat should be dropping faster than the muscle is gaining. So your weight is not going to stay on the scale exactly the same. If, however, you're a leaner individual or you don't have as much body fat to lose, you're down to your last 10 to 15 pounds. In a recomp gaining building phase, your weight may stay the same. And I had ladies in the shred. They were in the shred, not the build. They were in the shred, but they were leaner individuals. They were in that healthy range of body fat. And their body fat percentage went down And their body, you could see it in their pictures, looked like a new person after 6 weeks because they were getting the Recomp, but you didn't see it on the scale. They lost maybe 2 pounds. But boy, did it show up in the pictures. And that takes patience and trust. So here's what I recommend you do while you're trying to have patience and trust. The number one thing that really is going to be the game changer for staying in it without seeing the changes in the numbers is to focus on performance goals, performance gains in your training. So when you go to do your training, you're benchmarking yourself every workout. How much weight did I lift? How many reps did I get at that weight? What does my form look like? Can I improve the way that I'm lifting? Can I improve my range of motion? I've got a lady who's been with me for a while now, just joined the build, and she's really embracing this concept. And her whole thing was, I'm gonna not lift as much as I was trying to lift before because I really want to get the form down. And I'm paying attention to what I look like doing it. And just today she messaged me and said she was thinking about getting an in-person trainer in her gym a couple of days a week so they could be there with her in person and work with her on her form. And I freaking love that. I am like, yes, because if you just keep going for lifting more weight and you're not checking your form, your technique, your range of motion, am I doing the movement right? Am I correcting movement imbalances? You could be making things worse. And then you get into ego lifting. And then down the line, you've got to take that weight out of your hands and it really frustrates you. Been there. But so you can focus, there's so many things you can focus on in your training. You can say, I want to become a master at squatting. So I'm going to learn everything I can about squatting. My ankle position, my foot position, my hip position, my knees, my build ladies know I gave them tips for all of those things, mobility tips, how to improve your ankle flexion, your knees, your hip mobility, all of these different points to focus on. We're going to get into muscle imbalances. We're going to talk about overactive and underactive muscles, all of these things that you can geek out on, improve your knowledge, improve your ability and your skills, and then improve your strength. Because 9 times out of 10, if you're gaining strength, you're gaining muscle. The number one way to know that you're making progress on your muscle building journey is that you're getting stronger. I always like to say that's not going to be every single day you go in the gym, but if generally week over week you're improving, you're moving in the right direction. And we keep tracking all the other stuff too. And it can be really hard to get your mind out of the scale when that's been your thing forever. It's been the thing that's been hanging over your head forever. So final thing I want to touch on today, and that is if you're struggling with the scale, attachment to the scale number, or struggles with that scale fluctuation day to day, I want to get into that a little bit. I've talked about this before, but I want to go back into it. And it is all of the myriad of factors that go into the number on the scale, which is just your gravitational pull to the earth at any given time. Okay, first things first, I always try to push everyone. We weigh every day. For my clients and for those in my group programs, we weigh every day. And it's because I want you to get desensitized to that number. I want you to see how much fluctuating it's doing every single day. And then I want you to take an average. And I feel like I need to scream this because every time I say it, I don't think people are really doing it because I always get the same questions. I'm up on the scale this week. And then I look at their average and they're down over the last week. And I'm like, no, you're not up. You're just up today. And you're comparing that against your low last week. And you're saying you're up on the scale. You're not up on the scale. You're only ever on the scale, whatever is your average over the last 7 days. That's how I want your mind to start thinking about it. My weight is not my weight at this moment that I just got on the scale today. My weight today is the average over the last 7 days, including today. If I can impart nothing else, please take note of that. Don't hang on to the last time you were at your low weight and compare everything against that. And then don't only take the highest weight you got this week and say that's what you weigh now and get discouraged over it. Ooh, I know Juliana's going to feel me on this because I said this in the shred and I think it really rang a bell for her. You get to make this easy or you get to make this hard. If this is hard, ooh, sorry, not sorry. You chose to make it hard. You're choosing to make it hard on yourself. Ask yourself, this is the question that did it for her. I remember the light bulb going off. Ask yourself, how could I make this easier for myself? What if it were easy? What would that look like? What would it look like for this to be easy for me? And then start moving in the direction of making it easier for yourself. 9 times out of 10, it's what's happening in your mind that either makes it easy or makes it hard. What am I focusing on? What am I fixating on? When we start getting discouraged, it's because we're believing and listening to the story in our head. It's trying to discourage us. Why? Because this new thing is still new. And new means scary because new is threatening. New is risky. To our survival brain, our mammalian brain that we think back to 1 million years ago, if you eat the berry that you've eaten before, it's safe. You know you're not going to die. If you eat from the berry off of a different bush that you've never eaten before, it might kill you. That is scary. So we don't go there. We don't go into the cave we've never been in before because there could be a predator in there that's going to kill us. So that's where that stuff comes from, is this brain is like, no, stay safe. I know what's comfortable. What's comfortable is not working out. What's comfortable is laying on the couch and watching TV. That's comfortable and safe and convenient. Let's not go out there and do something that could get us hurt. Oh my gosh, lifting heavy things. You might hurt yourself. What if? And then the spiral. So you've got to learn to shut that down. That's all that is. The mindset for Recomp is really no different than embracing the same thing with weight loss, with a new diet, with a new job. Hello, right? You're starting to learn a new job. Oh my gosh, your brain could just talk you out of even going to the office. Why even bother? They're all going to think you're stupid. They won't know, who you are and blah, blah, blah. Okay, let's just not go. You don't do that because you need the freaking paycheck. So you go, you show up. Why? Because you're thinking more about the payout than you are about the fear of doing this new job. You're focused on the paycheck. The paycheck is going to come. If I just go get through it, I'll get the paycheck. And then you think about all the great things you can do with that paycheck. I'm looking at Juliana because she started a new job because she was going to be in this damn build, no matter what she needs to do to make it happen.
Yes, ma'am.
So that's that list we talked about earlier. All of those tangible benefits that you know you're going to get. Excuse me, you didn't know before, but you can convince yourself that you know you're going to get them because you're looking at the evidence of other people who've gotten them. And if it's possible for them, it's possible for you too. You just have to keep going to battle against your mind when it tries to give you those arguments against this thing that you really want. You get to have it too. There's no reason why you can't have it. All right, so we're a little over an hour, but does anybody have any questions about this journey, this process, this how do I trust it after everything I've shared? Is there anything coming up for you that you want to ask or get help with? Go for it, Mary.
Okay, so I finally, I know I've been looking at this thing for, I don't know what, 10 weeks now. On my scale, it's not an expensive one, but it does have weight. Then it has body fat. Then it has bone, muscle, bone, then BMI, and then how many weeks it's going to take you to lose whatever. Anyway, so I started noticing, because I can't pay attention to everything at once. Now that I'm trying to ignore the scale because it's been mean to me last week. So just because I'm retaining, I know that. But so I've been the next step, and I am seeing the body fat go down. So now, even though it went up like 4 pounds on the scale, the body fat went down. I'm not sure how accurate they are, but I'm sure over time, if I start recording that, it will be more accurate. So this is now where I have changed my focus. Now I'm looking at the body fat and the bone and the muscle. Those vary a little, but it is trending downward. So that's what you're talking about. Now that we're in the build, we have to switch focus from the stupid number on the scale to the body fat, to all those. Is that... I'm just trying to make sense of all the numbers. I have sometimes too much numbers, so I have to only focus on certain things. So.
Yeah, and a lot of the time I get, I'm glad you brought that up, because I get a lot of questions about, oh, my scale shows this, but this other scale shows this. But then when I go get my DEXA, or then I go get the bod pod, and then I'm comparing this, and then I'm comparing that. And I'm like, oh my goodness, stop. Just stop trying to find the perfect measurement. You're never going to find the perfect measurement. Just pick one and stick with it. And yes, they are algorithms. They are algorithms. They are using estimates. They don't know exactly what's in your body. They're not telling you exactly what's in your body at any given time. So don't let the numbers make you obsessed. It's not the weight number that you're looking at now so much. You're looking more at the body composition, but people can obsess over those body composition numbers too. Well, the scale said muscle mass was here, and now my muscle mass is going down. Oh, my muscle mass went down a pound overnight. Your muscle mass doesn't go down a pound overnight. You didn't lose muscle in a day. It doesn't work that way. So don't look at the numbers as absolutes, but yes, what we are looking for is the trend. And we do want to see, oh, it's showing that my body fat, if it's showing that your body fat percentage is going down over time, even if your scale weight is going up, that is telling you something big, because percentage is a percentage. It is comparing how much lean mass you have on you to how much fat mass you have on you. So if the percentage changes in a favorable direction, that is what we want.
And I also found out that if I weigh myself when I get out of the tub, my feet are soft and supple and warm, I get a 34.4 on my percent body fat. So it goes like to the lowest number on body fat. So I know.
There's a thing about your hydration level for sure. And actually, another thing, I'm glad you brought that up, because a bunch of people were asking in the build about what changes, right? What is impacting the fluctuations that we see on the scale? And because a lot of these digital scales, they are using estimations, they're bioelectrical impedance. So they're sending these signals through your body, and that's how they're estimating based on data for your age, because usually you have to put your age in there, your gender. So they're taking estimations on algorithms. And so a lot of people are frustrated because they're like, well, as my weight changes, the body fat percentage changes. And so it's just tracking with my weight. Okay, let it, no big deal. Just keep doing what you're doing. And that's why I like to say, focus on something. We're going to keep tracking those things, but don't let that become so much of a focus. Focus more on the process, the actionable things. Because if you're doing what you need to do, if you are training hard, recovering well, and eating well, high protein, managing your fuel calories as we teach in Recomp, then you are going to get the right result. You don't have to worry about it and stress over it, because you're doing what you need to do in terms of the habits. So I always like to say, we start freaking out about the scale when we know we really haven't been on our shit. When we have been doing something we're trying to get away with something, and then the scale shows us our ass, and we're like, I thought I was getting away with that, and now I'm not. Now we're mad at the scale. Well, the scale didn't do it. You ate the brownie, and you know you ate the brownie, and now you just don't want to face the music. So
you saying that it showed your ass right there made me know that you spent some time in the South, honey. That's what I just know right there.
Can I ask a question? I have two questions.
yes.
Okay, one thing that was frustrating me, and I have to sit down and think about it logically, which makes me feel like I'm at work again. See, measuring, when people go, oh, and I lost an inch here and I lost an inch there. Number one, when measuring, you can't tell me unless you put a mark on your body that you are measuring in the same exact spot every single time. You can't. I am very anal when it comes to numbers. Even my therapist is like, how long have you been at with counting times? And I know I can put a line here and a line here next week and leave that there. Just say, don't wash that, don't wash that. That's the only way you can do that. So when people, and I lost an inch in my waist, I lost 2 inches here. I don't see it going that fast. That's one thing. But I'm gonna tell you, I initially got frustrated the last 2 weeks because when I measured my shoulders, they had gotten larger, and I can look at other parts of my body that's smaller, but you can't tell me I'm not losing inches somewhere because my underwear is getting looser. Okay. But I started thinking really, and it doesn't look like it seems like my measurements are going up and down, and my weight is doing the same thing. But my husband, I pulled a picture back, he went, God damn, look at you. I can see a difference in me. And when I go to August to now is where I see the little weekly things. I go, wait, let me just look. Oh, I can kind of see it because that bulge was a little bit bigger here. But when you go from August to October, you can see it. So I started worrying about, yeah, and then I was worrying about the scale, and I thought about it. I went, she just brought me to phase 2. You're working on this, you're doing this. Your body's not used to those types of exercises. You're going to have inflammation that's going to build up because it's something new. Your body's going, what the hell is this? Okay, it's new. Let me hold on to this. I'm getting sore, but I'm starting to see what is happening to my body, like really see what's happening to my body. And I'm really loving it. And I love leg day, by the way. So am I right with the measuring? And then, but you almost have to go from way before when you first started and then when you're in, because those week to week fluctuations are very subtle. Very subtle. And even with the scale can say what they want. Those little mass that and protein that, they can say what they want because that underwear that I put on, it was like, I said, what the hell? And the other shorts that I put on, when I could not just take them and pull them down, I was able to take them without unbuttoning them and pull them down. That was my gauge. That was one of my gauges were those black shorts that I have. When I can pull them down, button, I know that something is working. So
yes, that's okay. A couple of great points there. So yes, for one, the measurements and the scale will fluctuate day to day, week to week. And I saw a lot of that in the build. Somebody saying their measurements would be, up and down each week. And she's been doing this for a long time. She's good at doing it. She thinks in the same place, right? Waist measurement in particular is going to fluctuate because your waist includes your stomach contents and whatever may be going on with digestion and bloat and water weight is mostly held in our waist area, our abdomen area. So that area, especially for women, waist and hips, that's where the inflammation is going to impact us. So all of the fluctuations we see with weight, and it can happen with measurements as well, are going to mainly be fluid fluctuations from day to day. It is not like I said, we're not going to see muscle gain and fat loss on a day-to-day basis on the scale. And even week to week, like Rhonda said, very minute. You're not going to see big changes. So when you do see changes, don't let it stress you, and just know that it's a part of the process, and that there are so many things that impact inflammation in our body, including some big ones: hydration status, how much water, electrolyte balance that you are having each day, not just how many electrolytes, but the balance of the electrolytes, sodium to potassium to magnesium to calcium to all of the other minerals in your body. The foods, the different types of foods you're eating on different days, whether you're sensitive to certain foods. The smallest shift in your carb macro from day to day, even if it's 5 grams, 10 grams difference, that's going to impact your fluid levels. How much you peed that day, if you had any bowel changes, if you're constipated versus you had diarrhea today, all of these things are going to impact your fluid balance. How much stomach contents is still in your body in the morning when you weigh yourself. So if you're eating later than you normally do in the evening, eating later versus eating earlier, and your transit time, your digestion time, depending on what foods you ate for dinner, some of them are going to digest faster than others, so that will impact the scale the next day and or measurements. Other things that impact inflammation, big thing. I'm so glad Rhonda brought it up, and Mary too. This was our first week of training in the build, for example. And for all of my private clients, when you get your new training block, whenever you get your new training block, that first week, maybe even 2 weeks, you're doing something new. Your body is now encountering a different stressor. So that new type of training, even if you were training before, even if you were doing just the same number of days, the different training stimulus can change the inflammation levels in your body. Your body now has to recover from that. Your recovery level, so whether it's a training day or a rest day, or how many days into the week, or if you're working, if you work on your feet during the day, how much you're on your feet today. So your activity level throughout the day, whether you're doing cardio or just activity throughout your day, that's going to impact it. Oh my gosh, so many other things: medications, supplements, you name it.
Sleeping pills.
Sleep. Oh my goodness. Sleep is huge. And stress levels from anything. This can be physical stress, emotional stress, mental stress, so many things. So all of this goes into our body. Our bodies all the time are seeking homeostasis. That is ideal health to our body. Is safety is homeostasis. Nothing's changing. So anything that's changing ever around us, within us, our body is like, wait, what do I need to do to balance this back out? This is why it's so clear to see with like electrolyte imbalances, because our body's trying to keep our hydration level at the same. So as soon as something shifts, like all of a sudden we go carnivore from eating a ton of carbs, our body's totally freaking out. It's like, whoa, you took all the carbs away. What's going to happen now? I got to rebalance all this stuff.
Right.
So all the things that we're doing on a day-to-day basis are impacting that number. It is so much more than what we make it out to be. So I think I'll just wrap this all up by saying, you are in complete control at any given time on your choices. You're the only one in control. Your mind cannot move your hands and your feet. Your mind can't do it. You have to do it. You have to tell your hands and your feet to move. So when your mind is trying to defeat you and tell you all the things to get you to stop following the plan, you are not your mind. You are the observer of your mind. You get to sit and observe and say, wait a minute, what are you saying? Is that really true? Do we have evidence of that? Let me find evidence. I always like to say, find the accuracy, because your mind is going to try to lie to you. All right, well, thank you all for being here as usual. Drop any other questions in the group. We'll keep the conversation going. And I look forward to the next one. Thank you for everyone.
Thank you as always. Love you.
Good night. Thank you. Good night.
Bye.
Go crush it.
Crush it.